Well, hi everyone, and welcome back to my YouTube art tutorial channel. I'm a professional artist working from my studio in Essex in the UK and painting plein air in the countryside. In today's demonstration, I'm working fast and very loose to try and capture a damp day here in Herefordshire. I hope you enjoy watching. I'm only using simple sketching materials, little Japanese brush and simple little palette like that, and so I've damped the paper halfway down. It's that type of day, wet and rather dank. Now I do want to add some form of colour for obvious reasons. It does need to have a bit of colour, so I'm putting in raw sienna and alizarin crimson to start with. There's no real direction of light, but I may create some at some point. There we are, that's the way it's flowing, and it's always best, if you're going to paint a wet scene, a dank scene, paint it while it's raining, even if you're like I am in the trough here at Molehill Hut in Herefordshire. So right, now I'm going to add a little bit of burnt sienna to that, just playing with the colours really. Now a little bit of, that's it, there we go. That's trying to pick up the dank clouds, and that is Windsor blue with, and I'm mixing on the paint, on the paper really, Windsor blue and burnt sienna, and I'm using the two to mix together onto the paper rather than mixing them in the palette. So the way I'll put on the blue and the burnt sienna and just let them blend together, and I'm gradually building up that sort of damp sort of feeling of day that I can see actually out the window here in Molehill Hut. It's a lovely way to paint. I always enjoy painting when it's wet outside, particularly if you're somewhere like this where you can hear the rain coming down through the clouds. Always a good thing to do. So I'm just going to build that up like that really. Now there is a road here, so I'm going to draw that road in. That widens as it comes towards us, and as it comes towards us, excuse me, it has more burnt sienna in there, like that, and it's quite rough and uneven, trying to get the shine of the road and the day, which as I say was very, very damp. Just mopping off that little area there, and right in the foreground I just want some glints of this burnt alizarin crimson. Then that runs out like that, so it comes down like that and out and round. There we go, and that is sufficient for that. Just sweeping lemon yellow now into that part of the field, leaving just a little entrance there. Perfect. That is exactly what I had in mind. Now I mixed a grey because I've got distant fields here that are coming across the background, and so I've mixed a grey up for that, and they're all very blurred. Exactly what I'm looking for. Just got to be aware of what we've got on in the background as a bit of blue there, because I want that to be the distance area. Maybe a bit heavy, but we'll wipe that away. That's the most distant area, maybe a touch of blue coming in there, and pretty much it, I think, for that distant tree work. Here we go. Don't play with it too much. Allow that to settle. Brilliant. Did notice because it was so dry here, or has been over the past few weeks, up until now, of course, got lots of sad sort of pieces along the edge of the road, and I'm just popping these in just before it dries, and some a little bit more clearly defined in the foreground. That just helps to little sad sort of touches here and there, trying to bring a bit of life to a dreary subject. And that's what you really should do when you're, when it's raining like this, you think there's nothing to paint, but there is if you look. Now, drying time is so important when you've got this sort of scene that you need to paint, and I certainly do need to paint it because it's such a lovely view. Now, I've mixed together a bit of the Windsor blue with the lemon yellow, but I've also got a little bit of red in there as well, alizarin, because I want this to show up the end of the lane as the trees turn the corner, shining a bit with the light I've got on it, but as it dries you will begin to see that. Now I'm going to paint in this lovely real substantial sort of shrub there, and quite green, so I'm using plenty of blue, plenty of the yellow, and not too much red, very little red in there now, because I want what I want to do, I want to paint the back edge of it. You've got to remember where it sits, so, and the stumpy sort of area that it's sitting on. But of course, when you get to the outside edge, this is where it becomes vital that you create that sort of outside spiky area of overhanging branch work, and up the top as well. And because it's wet and damp, trying to get that impression. There we go. But of course on the right hand side you get a lighter feel. So I've just cleaned the brush. I'm just going to use a little bit of yellow now and spread that through up to and around that light area. So we've got a bit of lighter green on the right hand side, and that little bit of white, I like that. It gives it a bit of sparkle to the whole thing. Just picking up a little bit of colour. There we are. So that's all part of that tree, but of course it's lighter at the top, darker shrub really, I suppose, more than anything. And then right in the bottom edge there, I'm just putting in the blue, and along that edge there, and a little bit of touch of added blue there, and that will give me my tone values that I'm looking for. Now I'm adding more yellow now, just to wisp in some trees here that are standing there. And wisping is not much of a technical term, but it's my term. I've got lots of funny little terms like that, and of course there's a bit of hedging there that continues to meet that tree there. So yeah, we've got a little bit of work to do on that, but that's not a problem. We're getting into autumn, as I say, here in Herefordshire. So I'm just going to drop in a little bit of that autumn feel to the outside edges and within some of the branches, but I'm not going too mad with that. Just make certain that doesn't run. It's always got to be aware of the runs. Now this side we have a really substantial tree, and I'm going to use raw sienna for that with the Windsor or Prussian blue. A little bit of burnt sienna gone in as well, and a not too wet a brush, because although I haven't said that, it looks quite wet to me. Just remove a bit of moisture from that brush, because there we go, that's a bit better. Start off in the sort of lower area first, then the brush will run out of paint, and then it'll be ideal to paint with. There we are, and we've got, it sort of like overhangs quite a bit there. I always like to depict these overhanging trees like that. Just gently with this. Got a found in my box of tricks, in other words my materials, it's lovely, Japanese signing brush, and I thought I'd use it today just as a matter of interest. I always like to use materials that I've been given and I've collected and what have you over time. Now we've got some very light tree work just running away in the distance there, and just got to watch where the road finishes like that. That runs sort of fairly neatly like that. Go, and that turns around into the corner. I think that's okay. Bit of yellow now, just to sparkle up that distance. And then this bit of yellow I'm using as an edge for the road. Notice the angle. Always important to put these edges up at an angle, because that tells the viewer exactly the contour of the land, really. I think that's something that is always important to me anyway, to know. There we go. Two little touches there. Just going to soften a little area in the distance with just a damp brush. I've got a bit thick there, there you go. A little bit softening there. Yeah, I think that's pretty much, let's just bring that up to there. These little edges are always important to where they're just catching light. Now there is a building here, which I don't want to make too much of, but I think it was probably needed to be put in. Another roof there like that, roof that joins there like that, and once I get some shadow work and everything else that goes on, it just gives that a little bit of light. So that's that. There are a couple of windows, let's put them in now, and the overhang of the roof line, so a bit of shadow, a couple of windows, a bit of a shadow there. There we are. And then what you do to blend that and just make it as if something's going on. There we are. And that's fine, all little hints without telling too much of a story. Now I'm just going to add a bit of weak shadow just to give the whole thing a bit of a mystical feel, and starting off in the foreground this time. Let's pull some in the lower part of that tree there, and it just really gives it a bit of mystical feel, because for obvious reasons, you know, there isn't really a great deal of shadow, but you know, it's always important to get a feeling of shadow, even if it's not particularly vibrant, really. Just a little bit across that dry area in the foreground there. Go to lose too much of the just trying to get that feeling of a damp sort of day, really. You know, a little bit of colour, quite a bit of colour actually, but now I'm beginning to lose a little bit of that colour as we go around the corner there. There we are. Just going to put a figure in a second, but overall we're pretty much there, I think. Is a depiction of what I was looking for. I love these runs, you know, always cause a lot of problems, runs, and you have to deal with them. Got one there, that blends together quite nice. There we go. We'll allow that to dry now, and I'll put a couple of figures in. Going to drop just a couple of figures in the distance. In actual fact, might only be one figure and a dog, like that. Just going to blur a bit, which is okay, not concerned. Maybe at the end, but I'm not concerned at the moment. Go. Standing there. That's it. Yeah, we can turn that into a figure. Now I just need to lift a bit of colour around that figure, just to give form and shape. That will be a figure once that completely dries. 1-2 little touches. And finally, as the rain comes down even heavier, just going to now turn this dry area into a couple of figures that are walking along. And I'm going to have two, purely because quite large, that's why. A couple of figures just walking on there. There will be a dog of some sort. There we are. They're coming along nicely. Look at that. That one has an arm out, and just bring that other leg down there just a little bit. Join them together just a little bit. There we are, look at that. And we do have a dog of some sort there, quite easily drawn in. There we are. And that, sorry about the shaky part of the I'm working on a very wobbly it's a music stand actually, because I'm only here sketching. Well, there you have it. That is the completed painting, or a sketch really. And to the right here is the pen drawing that I did while waiting for our accommodation time, and this is the robe that I've created with colour. It just needs signing, and I'm going to sign it in my normal, well, it's different. I've changed the way I sign. I actually just put Steed now. I'm going to sign the bottom right hand corner in the paint that I've used in a style that there we go, and there you have it, my latest, or indeed my first, watercolour here on this trip in Herefordshire on the Hereford-Wales border. So there you have it, a wet, damp day, and depicting that with some colour. So, you know, if you do go away on any trips and you decide that you're going to do some painting and all of a sudden you end up with a damp day, don't let it put you off. Just take those watercolours out, put some warm colours amongst the cool colours, and have a go. You never know what you can achieve.